Welcome back to Sleepy Science History. Tell me, have you ever wondered if the night sky is hiding something from us? Not just stars, not just comets or drifting rocks, but a whole other world. Imagine stepping outside, looking up at the constellations, and realizing that somewhere in that black velvet distance, close yet cloaked in shadow, another Earth-sized planet might be waiting. Doesn't that thought give you a strange mix of comfort and unease? Comfort because it means the universe is more abundant than we imagined. Unease because, well, what else could be out there just beyond our sight? So tonight, let's wander slowly, together, through this idea. Could another Earth be hiding in our own solar system? Not across impossible distances, but nearby, orbiting the same sun that warms your skin every morning. I like to picture it as a sort of cosmic neighbor we never knew we had. Like finding out years later that behind the row of trees at the edge of your childhood backyard, there was another house all along, quiet, waiting. And here's where the mystery begins. Astronomers call it Planet 9. Some say it's massive, perhaps 10 times the size of Earth. Others imagine it smaller, quieter, something Earth-like in ways that matter. But no telescope has caught it yet. No spacecraft has flown past. All we have are hints, subtle pulls on icy bodies, strange bends in their orbits, whispers in the mathematics of gravity itself. Now let me ask you, doesn't that sound a little like a detective story? Except the clues are not fingerprints on a window pane but the paths of lonely, frozen rocks far beyond Neptune. These distant objects, drifting in the Kuiper belt, seem to be tugged, tilted, and shepherded by something invisible. Something big. Could it be another Earth? I sometimes imagine astronomers as gardeners standing at the edge of a vast, overgrown forest. They hear rustling in the leaves. They see shadows move where no one is standing. They know something large is in there, but the branches are too thick to peer through. All they can do is wait and listen carefully for the signs. And we, sitting here tonight, perhaps with a blanket pulled up or tea cooling beside us, get to imagine along with them. What kind of hidden planet would dare share our sun, yet keep itself invisible to our eyes for so long? Maybe it's rocky, with craggy mountains and deep valleys carved by winds we'll never feel. Or maybe it's wrapped in thick, ghostly clouds that swirl endlessly, hiding oceans beneath. Some even wonder what if it holds life. Not bustling cities or civilizations, but something quieter. Strange microbes under ice. Tiny sparks of biology clinging on in the cold. And then another question. If such a planet exists, how could we have missed it? After all, we've mapped the solar system like cartographers tracing every shoreline. We've sent probes across billions of miles. Voyager itself has slipped beyond the boundary into interstellar space. How could something as grand as a planet remain hidden in our own neighborhood? The answer, curiously enough, might be darkness. Not metaphorical darkness, but the real kind, the deep cold night at the edge of the solar system. Out there, sunlight is weak, more like a dim lantern than a blazing fire. Worlds can drift slowly, silently. Their reflected light so faint it becomes indistinguishable from background stars. Even with our most powerful telescopes, they could be little more than a pinprick lost in the crowd. Think of it like trying to spot a single candle in a city skyline when you're standing miles away. It's not that the candle isn't there. It's that the city is just too full of lights. That's what astronomers face as they scan the heavens. They're looking for a candle among galaxies. And so, Planet 9, if it exists, remains a ghost. Not because it wants to be, of course, but because we simply haven't looked in quite the right place for quite long enough. Do you feel the suspense building? I do. Now let me share something I find both humbling and thrilling. The very idea of Planet 9 reminds us that discovery is not finished. Even in our own solar system, the place we thought we knew so well, there could be colossal surprises waiting. It's like believing you've explored every room in your house, and then one evening finding a door you've somehow overlooked, leading to a chamber you never imagined. The solar system is our home, and perhaps, somewhere beyond Neptune, there's still a hidden room. Some scientists even play with the thought, what if this hidden planet was once closer? What if it orbited near us in the early days of the solar system, before being flung outward like a wayward child wandering off into the snow? Would it carry memories of those ancient times? Minerals forged in the same fires as Earth? Or scars from the same cosmic collisions that shaped us? I don't know about you, but I find that idea strangely touching. As though this phantom Earth might be a sibling we lost long ago, still circling the family fire, unseen but never gone. And you might ask, well, what's the chance it's real? Isn't it just speculation? Yes and no. The evidence is circumstantial, like footprints in the mud without ever seeing the traveler. But the footprints are oddly consistent. Several icy worlds far beyond Pluto seem to cluster in ways that shouldn't happen by chance. Their paths curve in similar directions, as though some massive hand were gently guiding them. Computer simulations suggest a planet-sized object could be responsible. Still, we must be careful with wishful thinking. Science moves slowly, patiently, through shadows. Many mysteries in the past turned out to be mirages. Once, astronomers believed there was a planet Vulcan hiding inside Mercury's orbit, explaining its odd motion. They were wrong. What actually explained it was Einstein's theory of relativity. So maybe Planet 9 will also dissolve into mathematics. Or maybe, one quiet night, someone will finally spot it glimmering at the edge of a telescope's frame. I love that tension, the not knowing, the possibility suspended in the air, like a story that hasn't yet chosen its ending. And isn't that what makes this fun? You and I sitting here, musing together about a world we've never seen. What color might its skies be? Could it be blue like ours, or tinted green with alien clouds? Would it have moons, circling like loyal companions, or would it be solitary, wrapped in silence? Pause for a moment and let yourself imagine walking on such a planet. Feel the crunch of frost underfoot, the thin bite of air in your lungs. See the stars brighter than you've ever known, because the sun is so far away they outshine it. Imagine looking back and seeing our sun as just another point of light, small and pale, almost forgettable. And then, somewhere even tinier, Earth itself. Our crowded, noisy, beautiful Earth, glimmering like a jewel you could almost lose between your fingers. That's what Planet 9 offers us, if nothing else. Perspective. A reminder that we are not the center. That even here, in the region we call our backyard, there may be secrets too large to ignore. And maybe, just maybe, if another Earth is hiding out there, it whispers of others farther away. Hundreds, thousands, entire families of planets circling stars we haven't yet visited with our eyes. Planet 9 becomes not just a mystery of the solar system, but a symbol of cosmic abundance. Do you feel a little smaller hearing that? I do. But I also feel more connected, because small things are still part of something grand. So here we are, at the edge of knowledge, warmed by the thought of hidden worlds. Planet 9 may be real or it may not, but its possibility invites us to wonder. And isn't wonder the beginning of every discovery? I'll leave you with one last picture. Close your eyes if you like. Imagine our solar system as a grand stage lit by the sun. All the familiar planets are dancing in their bright costumes. Mercury darting quick as a messenger, Jupiter heavy with pride, Saturn spinning in its rings. And out beyond the spotlight, in the hush of shadow, a figure waits, watching, silent, not yet part of the play we see, but very much there. Is it real? Is it only imagination? That's the joy. We don't know. Not yet. But we can dream. Have you ever noticed how silence sometimes feels heavier than sound? Out there, past Neptune, the silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the weight of distance, the hush of time itself. And in that silence, you might ask, if there truly is another planet waiting in the shadows, how would it have gotten there? Did it begin close to us and drift away, or was it always a loner, circling in the cold margins of the sun's light? When astronomers trace back the story of our solar system, they see a place far less orderly than it seems now. We look up and imagine planets calmly circling like children on a carousel. But in its youth, this place was more like a crowded dance floor, where bodies collided, merged, and sometimes were flung into the dark. Could Planet 9 be one of those forgotten dancers, cast outward in the chaos of creation? Imagine it. A young Earth, still glowing with volcanic fire, while nearby another planet, similar in size, rich in minerals, sways beside it. Then comes a gravitational scuffle. A close pass with Jupiter, the giant bully of the playground, perhaps. Or maybe a collision with something unseen. And just like that, this sibling is hurled outward, banished to a distant orbit where the sun looks no brighter than a street lamp on a foggy night. Doesn't it make you wonder, how many worlds began here and were lost to time? How many siblings of Earth never got the chance to stay close? If Planet 9 is truly out there, it might be carrying a memory of those ancient days. Its surface could hold the scars of early impacts, craters piled on craters like layers in a forgotten diary. Its very orbit might be the echo of that chaotic birth. And yet, part of me wonders, what if it didn't start here at all? What if it came from beyond? Some scientists imagine the sun once stole a planet from another star system during a close encounter, billions of years ago. Two suns brushing past in the crowded nursery of the galaxy, like ships grazing in a harbor, and in the brief exchange, one snatches a world from the other's gravity. Could Planet 9 be an immigrant? A foreigner that drifted into our solar family long before life ever took root on Earth? It's a haunting thought, isn't it? That we may share our sky with an adopted stranger. You might ask, how could we ever know? The truth is, every planet is like a storyteller. Its rocks, its orbit, its atmosphere, all whisper pieces of history. If one day we found this hidden world and studied its chemistry, its isotopes, its fingerprints of origin, we might finally hear its story. Would it speak of the same cosmic dust that built Earth, or would it carry accents from another star? I sometimes think of Planet 9 as a sealed letter in the mailbox of the cosmos. A message written billions of years ago, waiting to be opened. The words are there, we just haven't unsealed the envelope. And here's another question for you. If such a planet is truly so distant, so cold, could it still hold warmth inside? Earth has a molten heart, glowing quietly beneath its crust. Even icy moons like Europa and Enceladus harbor warmth, thanks to gravitational tugging and ancient heat. Could Planet 9, shivering in the dark, still carry fire within? Could that inner warmth keep oceans liquid beneath frozen shells? Could it shelter pockets where life in some form might endure? It almost feels unfair, doesn't it? That something so far away, so unseen, might still cradle a secret ocean while we've only just begun to dip our toes into the possibilities. But before we let our imaginations run too wild, it's worth asking, why are astronomers so convinced this ghostly planet might exist at all? The answer comes back again and again to orbits. Tiny, icy bodies drifting far beyond Pluto seem to be herded into unusual alignments, like leaves circling a hidden drain in a pond. Their paths are too neat, too patterned to be coincidence. And so we are left with a choice of explanations. Either there is some massive unseen planet tugging on them, or something even stranger is at work, perhaps our understanding of gravity itself bending in ways we don't yet comprehend. Which possibility feels more mysterious to you? A hidden planet? Or laws of physics still waiting to be revealed? I'll admit, I lean toward the hidden planet. Not because it's proven, but because the idea glows with such quiet possibility. It's like suspecting there's a new chapter in a book you thought was finished. If Planet 9 exists, how large might it be? Some models suggest it could be Earth-sized or a little bigger. Others whisper it could rival Neptune. If it's smaller, it might be rocky, familiar in a way, a place we could imagine standing on. If larger, it may be cloaked in thick gases, a miniature giant wandering alone. Either way, its presence would rewrite the map of our solar system. And think of the poetry in that. For centuries we believed the solar system was complete. First with 6 planets, then 7, then 8, then 9. Then Pluto was demoted, leaving us with 8 again. But what if, after all this shifting, the tally isn't wrong? What if the 9th planet has been there all along, just waiting for us to notice? I often picture astronomers as lantern bearers, sweeping beams of light across a vast attic. Every so often, they catch a glimpse of something. A dust-covered trunk, a forgotten portrait, and slowly, the attic becomes less of a mystery. But Planet 9 is like a shadow at the farthest corner, just beyond the lantern's reach. And the attic is so large, so infinite in its dark corners, that it may take years before the beam of light finally lands on it. Do you feel the patience of that search? The quiet persistence? It's almost meditative in itself. To wait, to scan, to trust the math even when the eyes find nothing. There's something profoundly human in that act of faith. And I wonder, if one day we do find it, how will it feel? Will it be a quiet discovery, a faint pixel on a digital screen? Or will it be a thunderclap moment, like Galileo first lifting his telescope and seeing the moons of Jupiter? Perhaps both. Perhaps wonder doesn't need volume to be loud. Let's imagine for a moment that you and I are standing on this hidden world. The air is cold, thinner than any mountain you've ever climbed. The ground beneath your boots crunches like glass. Above, the stars blaze, thousands of them, unsoftened by atmosphere. The sun is so faint you could almost blot it out with your thumb. And yet, there it is, your home star, still reaching you with fragile warmth across billions of miles. Would you feel lonely standing there? Or would you feel awe? Sometimes I think loneliness and awe are closer than we realize. Both come from recognizing how small we are and how vast everything else is. And here's one last curiosity. If Planet 9 is real, its orbit would take tens of thousands of years to circle the sun. Whole civilizations could rise and fall before it completed even a single loop. Think about that. Every story you've ever heard, every empire, every invention, every dream, all of human history, would fit inside one heartbeat of this planet's journey. Doesn't that stretch your sense of time just a little? It makes me pause, to realize that even our longest stories are only sparks compared to the slow, steady paths of worlds. Planet 9, if it exists, has been circling in silence since long before humans took their first steps. It will still be circling long after we're gone. And yet here we are, daring to ask about it, daring to imagine. Maybe that is what matters most. The act of asking, the willingness to peer into silence and wonder, what if? And so, the question lingers. Is there truly another Earth hiding in our solar system? Or are we chasing shadows? The answer may take years, decades, even lifetimes. But the pursuit itself is beautiful, teaches us patience, teaches us humility, and it reminds us that the universe is not finished revealing itself. So tonight, as you drift toward sleep, picture that unseen planet. Picture it slowly moving, far out beyond the reach of our telescopes, wrapped in frost and silence. Picture it carrying its secrets across the millennia, waiting, patient as stone. And know that even in the places we think we know best, there are still mysteries deep enough to cradle our wonder. Have you ever wondered what it really means to search for something that might not exist? What does it take to look for a planet that hides so well, it might as well be a rumor carried on the wind? If Planet 9 is truly out there, how do astronomers even begin to find it? Do they simply point their telescopes at random corners of the sky and hope for a spark? Or is the hunt more like following a trail of invisible threads, one calculation at a time? The truth is, finding an unseen world is as much an act of imagination as it is of science. You don't begin with the planet itself, you begin with its echoes. The way distant icy bodies bend their paths, the way clusters of orbits seem to tilt as if pulled by an unseen hand. To search for Planet 9 is to listen for footsteps in the snow when the traveler is nowhere to be seen. And here's a question for you. What would it feel like to devote your life to a mystery that may never be solved? To spend night after night scanning the dark, sifting through data, chasing a ghost? Would you find it maddening? Or would it feel like participating in a cosmic riddle that stretches far beyond yourself? I like to think it's a little of both. Astronomers today use some of the most powerful tools we've ever built to probe the far reaches of our solar system. Telescopes perched high on mountain peaks, where the air is thin and the stars burn sharp. Observatories orbiting above Earth, free from the haze of atmosphere. And still, the hunt is painstaking. Imagine standing in a vast desert, knowing there's a single grain of gold hidden somewhere in the sand. That's the scale of the challenge. But the patience of the search is part of its beauty. Planet 9, if it exists, moves incredibly slowly across the sky. A year of watching might reveal no motion at all. The trick is to catch that faint, stubborn shift, to notice that one speck among millions that doesn't quite behave like the rest. Doesn't that remind you of life itself sometimes? How often do we overlook what's important because it moves slowly, quietly, almost invisibly? The unnoticed changes, the subtle patterns? Perhaps searching for planets trains us, too, to notice the quiet truths. Some astronomers have even turned to digital sky surveys, where massive cameras take wide, sweeping images of the heavens night after night. Computers then comb through these images, comparing star fields, looking for the faintest flicker of change. The process is almost hypnotic. Thousands of stars, galaxies, and stray glimmers, all cross-checked, all aligned, until one faint point reveals itself as a drifter. If Planet 9 is ever discovered, it might not be with a shout but with a whisper. A faint dot on a screen, noticed only because it moved against the backdrop of eternity. And yet, I can't help but ask, is the search just about discovery, or is it also about faith? After all, we are pouring years into finding something that may not exist. But maybe the act of looking itself is valuable. Maybe it reminds us that mystery is worth chasing, even without guarantees. Have you ever searched for something in your own life, not because you were certain it was there, but because the act of searching gave you purpose? A lost memory, a sense of meaning, a dream half remembered? The search for Planet 9 feels a little like that to me. Some scientists argue that perhaps we're mistaken. Maybe there isn't a planet at all. Maybe the odd orbits of those icy bodies are simply chance, or the result of something more subtle, like the collective gravity of many small objects acting together. If that were true, would you be disappointed? Or would you feel relieved, as though the universe still held secrets that can't be solved so neatly? For me, I think the mystery is enough. Whether Planet 9 is real or not, it has already changed us. It has given us questions. And sometimes, questions are more nourishing than answers. Still, let's imagine for a moment what it would be like the night it's finally found. Somewhere in the high mountains of Chile, or in a quiet control room at Caltech, a team of astronomers leans over their monitors. For weeks they've been studying images, eyes blurring, coffee cooling beside them. And then there it is, a faint dot, the same dot in two images taken days apart, shifted ever so slightly against the stars. The air in the room changes. Hearts race. They check again and again. Slowly, certainty builds. They are looking at a world that no human has ever seen. Can you imagine the silence of that moment? The weight of it? Knowing that you are the first to glimpse a new planet in our solar system. Knowing that a door has opened in the attic of the cosmos. Would you shout? Would you weep? Or would you sit in stunned quiet, unable to speak at all? Beyond the technical hunt, I think of the emotional one. The sense of yearning that drives people to spend careers chasing such whispers. Humans are not content to let the unknown stay unknown. It's a trait both maddening and beautiful. We look into the void, and we ask, what's there? Even when the void does not answer back. Perhaps that's why the thought of Planet 9 feels so magnetic. It's not just the possibility of another world. It's the reminder that we're still explorers. That even after centuries of mapping, charting, probing, and landing, our solar system is not yet a finished map. There is room for surprise. And maybe you've felt something like this too. That sensation when you realize your own life, your own familiar routine, still has unmapped corners. Things you thought you knew may still hold hidden rooms, unopened doors. Just as the solar system may still hold an unseen planet, you may still hold unseen versions of yourself. The search becomes a metaphor, doesn't it? We're not just looking for a world. We're looking for the reminder that mystery is alive. Some astronomers describe the pull of this possible planet as like a dog tugging at the end of a leash. You don't see the dog yet, but you feel the leash strain. And so you infer what must be at the other end. Isn't that an elegant image? The unseen weight, pulling. The proof not in sight, but in effect. And I wonder how many things in our own lives are like that. How many unseen forces tug at us, shaping our paths, without ever being directly visible. History, memory, love, grief, all unseen, all real, pulling us in orbits we don't always understand. Planet 9 reminds us of that too. The invisible is still powerful. One day, whether in a decade or a lifetime, the hunt may end. A planet may be found, or the theory may collapse. But until then, we are suspended in the in-between, a space I find strangely comforting. Because in the in-between, imagination thrives. We can picture the hidden planet however we wish. Icy, rocky, cloud-wrapped, oceanic. We can fill it with alien microbes or leave it barren and silent. It exists, for now, in the realm of possibility. And isn't possibility the most fertile ground of all? I sometimes think of a child staring at a closed box, wondering what's inside. The box might be empty, but while it is closed, it could contain anything: treasure, trinkets, secrets, even nothing at all. The wonder lives in the unopened state. Planet 9, for us, is that unopened box. And so the search continues. Astronomers keep their eyes on the sky, their equations running, their patience steady. They may not find it tomorrow. They may not find it in their lifetimes. But someone, someday, will either confirm or deny the whispers. And when they do, the story will change. Until then, perhaps it's enough to sit with the question. Could another Earth be hiding in our solar system? Could a world drift in the dark, just beyond our reach? Could we be missing something so immense, so close, yet unseen? The questions themselves are lullabies, aren't they? Slow, rhythmic, inviting you to dream. So tonight, picture the astronomers still awake, still scanning. Picture the cold mountains where telescopes peer silently into the heavens. Picture the quiet patience of humanity, reaching outward with steady hands. And then picture the possible planet itself, still circling, still waiting, whether real or imagined. Waiting, perhaps, for us to notice. Have you ever noticed how people, across every age and every culture, seem drawn to the idea that something hidden must be out there, just beyond sight? Why do we imagine secret worlds, unseen companions, phantom planets? Could it be because mystery feels like a mirror, reflecting back the parts of ourselves we don't yet understand? Long before astronomers spoke of Planet 9, there were whispers of other invisible worlds. Some were born from mathematics, others from myth. Each one reveals something not only about the cosmos but about us, the way human beings cling to mystery like sailors to a compass. Take, for example, the idea of Vulcan, not the fiery world of science fiction, but a planet once believed to circle inside the orbit of Mercury. In the 19th century, astronomers noticed that Mercury's orbit wobbled in a strange way, as though some hidden force were pulling on it. The most natural explanation, they thought, was another planet. Vulcan, they called it. For decades, telescopes searched the skies near the sun, trying to catch a glimpse of this elusive world. And though some claimed fleeting sightings, the truth was simpler and stranger. Vulcan didn't exist. The wobble of Mercury's path was explained not by an unseen planet, but by a new law of nature, Einstein's theory of relativity. Isn't that fascinating? We thought we were missing a world, but what we were really missing was a deeper understanding of gravity itself. Doesn't that make you wonder how often in our own lives do we think the answer must be something external, when in fact the shift must come from within? Then there are the myths like Nibiru. Some claimed it was a hidden planet destined to sweep close to Earth and bring catastrophe. Captured imaginations, headlines, even doomsday prophecies. And yet no such planet exists. But the story lingers, doesn't it? Because hidden worlds make fertile ground for fear, just as much as for wonder. So I find myself asking, why do hidden planets haunt us so deeply? Perhaps it is because they give shape to the unknown. When something puzzles us, like Mercury's orbit in the past, or the strange alignments of icy bodies today, we imagine a hidden hand. We draw an invisible circle on our maps and write, "Here there be planets." And perhaps, too, it's because the idea of the unseen feels oddly comforting. A reminder that not everything is known, that the universe still holds surprises. Doesn't part of you like knowing there might still be secrets out there? Even the ancients imagined unseen worlds. The Greeks speculated about planets that balanced the harmony of the cosmos. Medieval thinkers wove hidden spheres into their celestial music. And astrologers, for centuries, claimed unseen forces tugged at our destinies, even if the planets themselves were invisible. I wonder, if you lived centuries ago with no telescope, no physics, just the stars glimmering above, would you also dream of hidden worlds? Would you imagine gods dwelling just out of reach, or shadow planets guiding fate? The pattern is clear. Whenever we confront the limits of our understanding, we fill the gap with possibility. Sometimes we discover the possibility is real. Sometimes it dissolves under sharper light. But the dance between hope and correction, between imagination and evidence, is what drives us forward. Think of Neptune. Unlike Vulcan, Neptune was predicted and then found. In the mid-1800s, astronomers noticed that Uranus did not follow its predicted orbit precisely. Something was tugging on it. Through mathematics alone, they calculated where a new planet must be. And when they turned their telescopes there, Neptune appeared. A ghost turned into reality. Doesn't that sound like a fairy tale? A planet conjured into existence by equations, then revealed in the sky. That success set the stage for the modern search for Planet 9. If mathematics found Neptune, why not another? But we must also remember the cautionary tales. Vulcan, Nibiru, the shadows we chased that weren't real. It humbles us, teaches us patience. For every Neptune we discover, there may be a Vulcan we invent. For every truth, a mirage. And maybe that's why the mystery feels so alive. Because in searching for hidden planets, we're not only learning about the cosmos, we're also seeing our reflection. Our longing for order, our tendency to fill gaps, our deep desire for something more. Let me ask you this. Have you ever filled a silence with your own imagination? Perhaps hearing a rustle in the night and picturing a figure that isn't there. Or finding meaning in coincidence, patterns in randomness. Isn't that what we're doing on a cosmic scale? We hear the rustle of icy orbits, and we imagine a world stirring in the shadows. And what if, just as in life, sometimes the rustle is real and sometimes it's only wind? Does that diminish the beauty of imagining? Or is the act of wondering itself the gift? I think of the sky as a book still being written. Some chapters are clear, Jupiter's storms, Saturn's rings, the dance of moons. Other chapters are smudged, faded, incomplete. And then there are the blank pages, where myths and science alike scribble their guesses. Vulcan was one of those guesses, erased later by truth. Neptune was another, proven and immortalized. Planet 9, for now, is written in pencil, waiting. What strikes me most is how timeless this pattern is. Thousands of years ago, shepherds looked up at the same sky and spun stories of hidden gods and worlds. Today, with computers and observatories, we do something very similar. The tools have changed, but the instinct has not. We still look at the gaps, the oddities, the whispers, and we imagine. Isn't that deeply human? To never be content with only what is seen, but to lean into the unseen, too. Perhaps the myths of hidden worlds are not mistakes but stepping stones. Each one brings us closer, sharpening our questions. Even Vulcan, though false, guided scientists until relativity gave us a new lens. Even Nibiru, though fantasy, stirred curiosity about the fragility of our Earth. Myths are not wasted, they are echoes of our yearning. So maybe Planet 9 belongs to both worlds, the world of science and the world of myth. It is an equation, yes, but also a story. A whisper of order in the randomness, a modern echo of ancient longing. And I wonder, if one day we confirm it, will it lose some of its magic? When a planet moves from imagination to certainty, it becomes mapped, catalogued, photographed. Will Planet 9 still feel mysterious once it has a name, an atmosphere, a surface we can picture clearly? Or will we quickly look past it, already hungry for the next unseen thing? It makes me pause, because it seems we humans are always caught between satisfaction and hunger. We long for answers, but as soon as they arrive, we lean forward into the next question. Perhaps that's why the myths never end. As soon as one hidden planet dissolves, another appears on the horizon. And so the pattern continues. From Vulcan to Neptune, from Nibiru to Planet 9, from myth to math to mystery again. Each hidden world, real or imagined, is part of a larger story. The story of how we, tiny beings on a pale dot, keep asking the same timeless question. What else is out there? So let's sit with that question tonight. Let's imagine the long chain of humans before us. Philosophers, stargazers, mathematicians, storytellers. All gazing at the same stars, all filling the gaps with their own hidden worlds. Their voices echo into ours, and ours will echo into those who come after, still searching, still wondering. Isn't it beautiful how mystery connects us across centuries? How every myth and every theory, whether true or false, weaves into the same tapestry of curiosity. Maybe that's the real secret planet. Not one drifting in space, but the one inside us, the endless capacity to wonder. Have you ever tried to imagine a distance so vast that numbers begin to lose their meaning? What does it really mean to say a planet is billions of miles away? Can your mind picture such an expanse? Or does it dissolve into abstraction, like trying to hold water in your hands? When we speak of Planet 9, we are not only speaking of a hidden world. We are speaking of distance, of time stretched so long it becomes almost alien. Astronomers suggest that if such a planet exists, it might take 10,000, maybe 20,000 years to orbit the Sun just once. Pause and let that sink in. 1 year for that planet is longer than the entirety of recorded human history. Every empire, every invention, every song and story, an entire cycle of civilization, would fit inside a single heartbeat of its orbit. Doesn't that make our own lives feel brief, like sparks in the wind? And yet, doesn't it also give them a kind of precious glow? Because against that scale, each moment becomes a small miracle, a flicker of light in the endless dark. If you tried to travel there, how would you even measure the journey? A trip to Mars might take months. A trip to Neptune takes years. But Planet 9, if it exists, could lie hundreds of times farther away. A spacecraft might spend centuries just reaching its doorstep. Can you picture a mission lasting longer than human lifetimes, handed down like a story from one generation to the next? Would you be willing to begin a journey you could never finish? I sometimes imagine that kind of voyage as planting a tree. You water it, nurture it, knowing you'll never sit in its shade. But perhaps your children or theirs will. The act of planting is an act of faith. Perhaps space exploration is the same. And yet, even if we never walk there, the thought of such distances teaches us something. Think of the Earth, our small, warm world. Every day we rise and sleep, surrounded by its familiar rhythms. But beyond our skies, the solar system stretches out in silence, like an ocean with shores we can barely glimpse. Planet 9, if it circles out there, drifts in that ocean's farthest reaches. What kind of world exists in such a place? The sunlight there is weak, more like twilight than day. The warmth of the sun is a faint whisper, unable to melt the endless frost. A year, as we said, lasts millennia. Seasons, if they exist, unfold too slowly for any eye to notice. Imagine winter lasting longer than humanity itself. Imagine summer arriving only after the pyramids have eroded to dust. Can you even call it a season if no one lives long enough to see it change? It humbles me to think about it. Here on Earth, we live in the rush of days. Commutes, conversations, the turning of leaves in autumn. On Planet 9, time itself feels frozen, stretched thin. A single orbit could cradle entire ages of life and death on Earth. Doesn't that shift your sense of scale? Doesn't it remind you that time is not the same everywhere? And then there's the question of motion. To us, the planets feel swift. Mercury darts around the sun in just 88 days. Earth takes a steady year. Even Neptune, far out, completes a circuit in 165 years. But Planet 9 moves like a glacier through space. So slow, so deliberate that you might mistake it for standing still. Doesn't that echo parts of life too? Some things change in bursts, fast and bright. Others shift so slowly we hardly notice until centuries pass. But here's something to wonder about. If a planet's year is so long, How does it experience history? If civilizations rise and fall in the blink of its orbit, does it become a kind of witness to time? Silent, unmoving, carrying on while everything closer to the sun dances and fades? I sometimes think of it like a stone on a mountaintop. Seasons come and go in the valleys below. People live and die, generations pass. And the stone, weathered and still, remains. Planet 9, if it exists, may be that stone of the solar system. Silent, enduring, carrying secrets we cannot yet reach. And then there's the distance itself. Imagine standing on Earth and looking out. The moon is just 240,000 miles away. A weekend drive compared to space. Mars is millions of miles away. Neptune billions. But Planet 9 could be 20 times farther still. Imagine a string stretched from Earth to Neptune. Now stretch that string 20 more times into the dark. Even then, you may not yet arrive. How do you hold such numbers in your mind? Perhaps not with arithmetic, but with metaphor. Picture standing at the edge of an immense forest. You've walked for days, weeks, reaching the farthest trees. And still, beyond the last clearing, the forest continues. Another stretch as vast as everything you've already crossed. Would you turn back? Or would you keep going? That's what Planet 9 asks of us. To keep going. To keep imagining even when the road vanishes into shadow. And yet, for all its remoteness, doesn't it feel strangely close? After all, this isn't another galaxy, not another star system. It's our own backyard, our own solar family. That something so immense could still be unseen, still waiting. It makes you wonder how much else we've yet to notice. Perhaps the distance teaches us humility. We tend to think of ourselves as farsighted, clever, capable of mapping and measuring everything. But the truth is, the universe dwarfs us. Even in our neighborhood, there may be giants hidden in plain sight. And maybe that's the lesson. Distance is not just space measured in miles. It is also perspective. The farther we look, the more we realize how small we are. And in that smallness, we find something profound. Connection. Because to be small is to be part of something large. So let me ask you, what do you feel when you imagine those distances? Do you feel fear knowing how little control we have? Or do you feel wonder, knowing how much mystery still stretches before us? For me, it's both. The fear is real. We are fragile, brief, easily lost in the dark. But the wonder is stronger. The wonder is what keeps us looking, what keeps us building telescopes and dreaming of voyages. The wonder is what keeps us awake at night, asking, what if? And so Planet 9 becomes more than a planet. It becomes a symbol of distance itself, of the vastness that humbles us, the scales of time and space that remind us how fleeting we are, and yet how curious. Can you picture standing at the edge of that distance? A spacecraft, after centuries of flight, finally arriving. Its instruments wake, its cameras open, and before it lies a world bathed in faint starlight, silent and immense. A world that has circled unseen for billions of years, waiting. What would we feel in that moment? Relief? Awe? Or perhaps something wordless, something only silence can hold. Until then, we are left with imagination. And imagination is enough. Enough to carry us across the unfathomable miles. Enough to stretch our minds to the rhythm of millennia. Enough to remind us that even in our smallness, we belong to the vast story of the cosmos. So tonight, let the thought of distance settle into you. Let it expand gently like a breath. Think of the years and the miles, the orbits longer than history, the spaces wider than dreams. And know that somewhere out there, whether real or only imagined, a planet may be circling, slowly, silently, reminding us how wide the universe truly is. Have you ever asked yourself what it really means for a world to be alive? Does life require warmth from a sun, green fields, oceans under blue skies? Or could it exist in places so cold, so distant, that sunlight is little more than a memory? If Planet 9 is truly circling out there in the shadows, could it, against all odds, harbor life? At first, the thought feels impossible. The sun, that giver of energy, would appear so faint from such a distance that it might not even outshine the other stars. On Earth, life flourishes because the sun pours warmth and light onto its surface. But out there, near the edge of the solar system, the sun's light would be a pale ghost. How could life bloom where warmth is so scarce? And yet, have you noticed how often life surprises us? It thrives in boiling vents at the bottom of Earth's oceans, where sunlight never reaches. It clings to glaciers, deserts, caves where the air is thick with sulfur. Even inside nuclear reactors, microbes endure. Again and again, life proves itself stubborn, resourceful, unwilling to bow to limits we once thought absolute. Doesn't that make you wonder what might be possible in the silence of the outer dark? If Planet 9 is rocky, perhaps it has an atmosphere. Thin, maybe, but thick enough to hold in traces of heat. Or perhaps, deep inside, it keeps warmth from its birth. Radioactive elements still glowing, a core still alive with motion. Even icy moons like Europa and Enceladus, smaller and colder, manage to sustain subsurface oceans thanks to inner warmth. Could Planet 9 hide the same secret? An ocean sealed beneath ice, where life could quietly stir. Imagine it for a moment. A vast ocean buried under miles of frozen crust. No sunlight, no sky, just endless water cradled in darkness. And within that ocean, could there be creatures, simple or strange, drifting in the silence? Microbes clinging to mineral vents, or translucent beings moving in slow grace? Life not as we know it, but life nonetheless. Wouldn't that change everything? To discover that even in the most remote, frozen corners of our own solar system, life finds a way? And here's another question. What would it mean if Planet 9 held no life at all? Would that be less beautiful? Or would its silence still carry meaning? The reminder that not every world is fertile, that sometimes the cosmos is simply empty. Perhaps even emptiness has lessons, reminding us how rare and precious Earth truly is. But let's linger with possibility. If life exists there, it would not be like us. It would not build cities or write songs. It would not gaze at the stars and wonder. But in its persistence, in its quiet endurance, it would still be a miracle. A heartbeat in the frozen dark. Do you ever think that maybe life itself is less about thriving and more about enduring? On Earth, we celebrate lush forests and coral reefs. But deep beneath, in places most of us never see, life clings in small, defiant sparks. Maybe Planet 9 is one of those sparks. Not a garden, not a paradise, but a stubborn flame refusing to go out. And if such life exists, what story would it tell? Imagine sending a probe across centuries of space, landing gently on its frozen surface, drilling through the ice, and lowering instruments into the dark sea. The first readings come back. Chemical traces, energy gradients, signs of metabolism. The faint fingerprint of biology. Would humanity feel smaller in that moment or larger? Smaller because we would know life is not unique to us. Larger because we would suddenly be part of a greater community, even if its members are microbes. I think of it like finding moss on a forgotten stone. The stone was there all along, silent, unmoving. And then one day you kneel and notice the green fuzz, delicate, persistent. The world feels different because of it. You realize life is not the exception. It is the rule, filling every crack it can. But perhaps you wonder, how could life begin in such a place, with so little energy? After all, every spark of life we know depends on energy. Plants drink sunlight. Animals consume plants or each other. Even microbes rely on chemical energy from minerals or radiation. Out on Planet 9, sunlight is too weak to matter. But chemistry deep underground could still play its part. Minerals interacting with water, heat seeping from the core, tiny engines of possibility. Isn't it humbling to think that life might not need sunshine at all? That it could rise in darkness, feed on stone, glow faintly in the abyss? And doesn't that make our own dependence on light feel fragile by comparison? We bask in the sun as if it is eternal. But perhaps the universe is filled with shadow children, creatures born in dark oceans, never once seeing a sky. If Planet 9 does cradle such life, we may never meet it. The distances are too great, The challenge is immense. But perhaps that's not the point. Perhaps the value lies not in reaching it, but in knowing it might be there. The possibility itself expands us. It reminds us that we are not the only story the universe might be telling. And here's a thought. What if Planet 9 holds not only life, but fossils of what once was? Perhaps it began warmer, closer to the sun, and only later was cast into exile. What if ancient seas once rippled under sunlight, long since frozen, leaving behind the traces of organisms that lived and died in its youth? Wouldn't that be haunting? A planet carrying the memory of life, now entombed in ice. Sometimes I think possibility is more moving than certainty, because certainty closes a door, while possibility keeps it ajar. Planet 9, as long as it remains unseen, can be anything, barren or alive, silent or teeming. It is a mirror for our imagination. But imagination is not without purpose. It pushes us to ask questions, to design missions, to build instruments sensitive enough to pierce the dark. Without imagination, no one would have looked for Neptune, no one would have dreamed of oceans under Europa's crust. Imagination plants the seeds of discovery. So let me ask you, what do you think is more beautiful? A barren world of endless frost, silent and solemn, or a hidden ocean with tiny sparks of life? Or perhaps the beauty is not in the answer, but in our asking. In the end, Planet 9's greatest gift may not be what it holds, but what it teaches us. That life is stubborn, that mystery is abundant, and that our curiosity has no edge. Whether it is alive or empty, it whispers the same truth, that the universe is vast enough to surprise us. So as you drift toward rest, picture that hidden world. Picture its surface, crusted with ice, winds howling thinly. Picture its core, glowing faintly with ancient heat. Picture an ocean sealed away, dark and patient. And in that ocean, perhaps picture a spark, small, silent, enduring. A reminder that even in the farthest shadows, life might find a way. How do you chase something that hides in the dark? If Planet 9 is truly drifting at the far edge of the solar system, how would we ever hope to see it, study it, touch it? Do we rely on telescopes alone, or do we dare to send a machine across the abyss, knowing it may take longer than a lifetime to arrive? Searching for a hidden world is unlike any other quest. It is not a race, nor a hunt with clear tracks to follow. It is more like waiting at the shore, staring at the horizon, hoping the faint outline of land will reveal itself one day. So much patience, so much trust in the possibility. And yet, humans are restless explorers. Sooner or later, someone will try to reach it. Let's begin with the eyes we already have. Telescopes, the largest ground-based observatories, built on mountain peaks where the air is thin, are scanning the skies night after night. Each image holds thousands of stars, galaxies, and asteroids. Astronomers pore over these photographs, looking for the faintest speck that drifts where it shouldn't. It's like trying to notice a single firefly in a city skyline. Have you ever tried to notice a small detail in a crowded scene? Perhaps a friend in a busy market, or a single bird in a flock? That is what astronomers face. The sky is vast, crowded with light, and yet they believe a single planet may betray itself by the slowest of motions. And then there are the space telescopes. Freed from Earth's atmosphere, they see more sharply, more deeply. Instruments like the James Webb Space Telescope, though designed to peer at galaxies far away, may one day glimpse the faint glow of a hidden planet close to home. Isn't it strange? A telescope built to study the birth of the universe might also uncover a neighbor hiding in our own solar system. But telescopes can only look. What about touching? What about going there? That feels harder. Distances to Planet 9 are staggering. A probe traveling at the speed of Voyager, the fastest emissary we've ever sent outward, would still take hundreds of years to reach such a world. Could we imagine a mission that lasts so long? A spacecraft tended not by one generation, but by many? Think of it. A child watches the rocket launch, knowing it will not arrive until long after their grandchildren are old. Would that child still feel pride? Would humanity still care for a mission that outlives its makers? It reminds me of cathedrals. In the past, Builders began projects they knew they would never see finished. Stones laid in faith, towers rising across centuries. Perhaps a mission to Planet 9 would be our modern cathedral, an act of trust in the future. But there is another path. Perhaps instead of sending a spacecraft to land, we first send something smaller, faster, lighter. A flyby probe designed only to pass close, snap images, and beam them home. Even then, the journey would take lifetimes. And yet, isn't it worth dreaming? I wonder, too, whether technology might change in ways we cannot yet imagine. Faster engines, new fuels, solar sails catching the faint push of starlight. Could there be a time when reaching distant planets is not centuries, but decades? Would you volunteer to work on such a mission, knowing you might never live to see the results, but that you had played a part in the first hello to a new world? And then there is the question of why. Why should we try to reach Planet 9 at all? Why not let it stay a mystery, a ghost in the distance? Perhaps the answer lies in who we are. We are creatures of curiosity. We plant flags not only on mountains but in the mind. We cannot leave a question unanswered once it has been asked. But beyond curiosity, there is knowledge. To see Planet 9 would reshape our understanding of the solar system's birth. To touch its rocks, to taste its air, to measure its orbit precisely, would tell us about the forces that sculpted all planets, including Earth. And perhaps, as we wondered before, it might even whisper of life. Doesn't that seem reason enough? To cross centuries of silence, simply to ask the question directly. Are you alive? And yet, even if it holds no life, even if it is barren and cold, the act of reaching it would say something profound about us. It would say we are willing to stretch beyond comfort, beyond lifespan, beyond certainty. It would say we are not afraid to chase the faintest glimmer, simply because it might be real. I think often about the astronomers themselves, those who spend decades analyzing orbits, writing equations, scanning the skies. They know they may never see the planet confirmed, but they search anyway. Isn't that an act of hope? Isn't it a kind of faith, not in religion but in human persistence? Maybe every attempt to explore is an act of faith. To build a telescope is to believe the universe will show us something new. To send a spacecraft is to believe the journey is worth more than the arrival. To search for Planet 9 is to believe the dark still holds treasures. Can you imagine the moment when a mission finally sends back its first close image? A pale, icy sphere, mottled with craters, or perhaps striped with clouds. A world that has circled in silence since the solar system's beginning, now gazing back at us. Would we feel like intruders or like long-lost kin, finally reunited? And what name would we give it? Planet 9 is only a placeholder, a whisper of mathematics. The real name would carry stories, meaning the weight of discovery. Would it honor a myth, a scientist, a dreamer? Names matter. They are how we weave strangers into family. But until then, the search continues with patience. Telescopes scanning, computers modeling, astronomers waiting, a kind of vigil kept across nights and decades, a vigil for a world we may or may not find. And perhaps that is the point. The search itself becomes a meditation, a reminder that not all quests end quickly. Some stretch across lifetimes, teaching us the art of waiting. Doesn't that feel rare, in our world of hurry and instant answers? To linger with a question, to nurture it slowly, to let it breathe? Planet 9 is a challenge, yes, but it is also a teacher. It teaches us humility, reminding us how vast space is. It teaches us patience, reminding us discovery is slow. And it teaches us faith, that some mysteries are worth chasing, even if they remain just beyond reach. So tonight, picture the astronomers still awake, their telescopes pointed skyward. Picture the silent computers, comparing images pixel by pixel. Picture the dream of a probe, not yet built, that might one day cross the gulf. And picture the hidden world itself, circling slowly, waiting in the cold. Perhaps it knows nothing of us. Perhaps it will never know. But still we search. Still we imagine. Still we prepare for the day when distance is bridged and silence is broken. Until then, we keep looking, because to look is who we are. Why do unseen worlds stir our imagination so deeply? Why does the thought of a planet we have never touched, never even seen, send poets and dreamers into reverie? Could it be that hidden places remind us of our own hidden longings, the corners of ourselves we have not yet explored? From the earliest myths to modern science, invisible planets have haunted our stories. Not just as astronomical curiosities, but as symbols. They have been imagined as abodes of gods, as harbingers of doom, as places of refuge, even as mirrors of Earth itself. Doesn't it seem that whenever humans looked up and saw gaps in the sky, they filled them with meaning? Think of the ancients. To them, the heavens were not empty but alive, a grand stage where deities moved unseen. Every star, every wandering planet, was infused with intention. And what about the planets they couldn't see? Those became realms of mystery, places for gods of shadow, spirits of fate, hidden influences weaving through the tapestry of human life. Isn't it curious that we still do something similar today? Though we use mathematics and telescopes instead of myths, we too fill the unseen with possibility. We whisper of Planet 9, not as the throne of a god, but as a gravitational shepherd. Different language, same impulse, to give meaning to what we cannot yet explain. And then there is art. Have you noticed how often hidden worlds slip into music, poetry, painting? Composers like Holst wrote symphonies for the planets. Poets dreamed of unseen spheres, shadowed Earths, twin worlds just out of reach. Even in modern culture, films and novels invent hidden planets orbiting unseen suns. It's as if our minds crave them. Why? Perhaps because hidden worlds echo the secret places inside ourselves. Do you have such places? Memories or hopes you've never shown anyone? Corners of thought you rarely visit? A hidden planet is like that. Part of the system, yet veiled, mysterious, inviting speculation. And sometimes, the imagination of hidden worlds is darker. In myths, they often symbolized fate, chaos, destruction. Think of Nibiru, the imagined rogue planet said to bring catastrophe. Even though it was never real, people feared it, wrote about it, built entire narratives around its approach. Isn't it strange how powerfully a world can live in the mind, even if it never lives in the sky? But perhaps that's the key. Hidden planets don't have to exist to shape us. Their influence lies not in their gravity, but in our imagination. They remind us of the unseen, the uncertain, the unknown. And what is art, if not a way to touch the unknown? Picture an ancient storyteller, sitting under the stars, weaving tales of unseen worlds. Picture a modern scientist, writing equations that suggest a hidden planet tugging at icy bodies. Different centuries, same wonder. One expresses it through myth, the other through math. Both are art forms in their own way. And what about us, the listeners? When we hear of hidden planets, why do our hearts stir? Perhaps because they remind us that the universe is incomplete in our eyes, that the story is still being written. Isn't that what every human longs for? That sense that the book is not finished, that there are still pages left to turn? Some artists imagine hidden planets as utopias, perfect reflections of Earth, places where humanity might start again, free of our mistakes. Others imagine them as dystopias, cold and harsh, reminders of fragility. Which vision feels truer to you? A second Eden or a frozen exile? I think both hold power. The utopian vision comforts us, suggesting that salvation is possible. The dystopian vision humbles us, reminding us to cherish the Earth we already have. Hidden planets are mirrors, reflecting back what we most fear and most hope. Even music, abstract and wordless, captures this. A melody rising like the slow orbit of a world, harmonies colliding like gravitational pulls. When you listen to a piece inspired by the cosmos, don't you feel that tug, the sense of drifting in vastness, of chasing something just beyond hearing? Music becomes its own kind of telescope, reaching into the unseen. And literature, too. Stories of hidden planets have been told for centuries. Sometimes they are allegories, sometimes fantasies, sometimes warnings. Each one, in its own way, is about the human desire for more. More land, more sky, more meaning. Doesn't it reveal how restless we are, never satisfied with what we know? But here's the question. Do hidden planets exist for us? Or do we exist for them? Do we invent them to fill silence? Or do they wait patiently for us to notice? Maybe both. Maybe the universe and imagination are partners in a dance, each one feeding the other. We dream of hidden planets, and sometimes we discover them. We invent Vulcan, and though it never existed, it led us to relativity. We imagine Neptune, and it appears. Could Planet 9 be another partner in this dance, waiting to step into the light? And even if it never appears, hasn't it already inspired us? Scientists, artists, dreamers, all writing, painting, composing, imagining. Planet 9, real or not, already exists in our culture. It has given birth to stories, to questions, to art. Doesn't that mean it's already real in a sense? Not as a ball of rock and ice, but as an idea alive in the human mind. Perhaps that's the true role of hidden worlds, not only to be discovered but to inspire, to keep our imaginations restless, to remind us that the unknown is never far away. Think of your own hidden worlds, the books you haven't written, the songs you haven't sung, the journeys you haven't taken. Aren't they like planets beyond Neptune? They tug at you, faintly, shaping your path. Even though you haven't yet seen them clearly, you feel their pull without knowing their form. And one day, perhaps, you'll turn your telescope inward and finally glimpse them. Isn't that beautiful? That each of us carries a solar system inside, with its own hidden planets. Waiting? So when we talk of Planet 9, of myths and music, of unseen worlds that stir the imagination, we are also talking about ourselves. About the parts of us not yet mapped. About the art of wondering, the poetry of absence, the music of silence. And maybe that's why we cannot let go of the idea. Because it's not only about the cosmos. It's about being human. To long for what we cannot see. To dream of what may or may not exist. To make art of the unknown. So tonight, let the thought of hidden worlds linger. Picture an unseen planet circling in the dark. Yes, but also picture the unseen corners of yourself, still waiting to be explored. The two are not so different. Both are mysteries, both are possibilities, and both remind us that the universe, within and without, is always larger than we think. Have you ever thought about how much of the universe is invisible to us? Not just unseen planets or distant stars, but whole realms of matter and energy that our eyes, our instruments, even our imagination struggle to grasp. Isn't it strange that what we see, the stars, the galaxies, the planets, is only a sliver of what's really there? Astronomers tell us that most of the cosmos is made of dark matter and dark energy. Names that sound like poetry or perhaps riddles. Dark matter, stuff that has mass, that shapes galaxies but cannot be seen. Dark energy, a force that pushes the universe apart, expanding space itself, yet remains intangible. Together they make up about 95% of everything, which means the universe we know, the shining stars and warm planets, is only 5%. Doesn't that make you pause? Doesn't it feel like living in a house where nearly every room is locked and hidden? In that way, Planet 9 feels almost like a local echo of this larger mystery. A tiny reminder, in our own solar system, of how much remains unseen. Just as galaxies spin under the pull of hidden matter, the icy objects beyond Neptune seem to bend under the pull of something invisible. It's as though the cosmos whispers to us again and again. Most of what matters cannot be seen. But why is it so hard for us to accept the invisible? Why do we long so fiercely for proof we can hold, pictures we can take, objects we can touch? Perhaps because seeing feels like knowing. And yet, isn't it true that some of the deepest truths in life are invisible? Love, grief, memory, time itself. You cannot weigh them, yet you feel their pull. Could the cosmos be reminding us of that, through its own invisible forces? Dark matter reveals itself only through gravity, the way stars orbit too fast to be explained by what we see. Dark energy reveals itself only through expansion, galaxies rushing apart faster and faster. And Planet 9, if it exists, reveals itself only through the quiet tug on smaller bodies, icy worlds drifting in clustered orbits. In all cases, the invisible announces itself not by being seen, but by what it moves. Isn't that a beautiful metaphor? That even what hides can leave ripples, signs, effects we can trace. I sometimes wonder, what if the universe is mostly shadow by design? What if visibility is the exception, not the rule? Perhaps the cosmos is like a great painting, where the visible strokes are just highlights, and the real depth lies in the shadows. If that's true, then maybe we should not be surprised that a planet might hide in our own neighborhood. Perhaps hiding is what the universe does best. But let's return to the scale of invisibility. Think of it. Galaxies spinning because of unseen halos of dark matter. Space stretching because of a mysterious energy we cannot grasp. And here, within our solar system, a possible ninth planet shaping orbits from afar. From the grandest scales to the most local, invisibility shapes reality. Doesn't that challenge the way we think about knowledge? We prize the visible, the measurable. But perhaps what matters most is precisely what hides. And here's another question. If most of the cosmos is invisible, what does that say about our place in it? Are we explorers with only a candle in a vast cave, touching the walls here and there? Or are we children staring at the surface of an ocean, knowing that beneath lies an entire world, but unable to dive deep enough? Planet 9, whether real or not, reminds us of this humility. Says, even here, even at home, you do not see everything. It humbles us, but it also invites us. Because invisibility is not emptiness. It is possibility. Could dark matter one day be explained, captured, touched? Could dark energy one day be harnessed? Could Planet 9 one day emerge from the shadows, no longer a rumor but a world with mountains, valleys, perhaps even an atmosphere? Doesn't the thought give you a quiet thrill? And maybe this is the point. Invisibility is not failure, it is invitation. It keeps us searching, keeps us imagining, keeps us awake under the stars. If everything were visible, the story would be over. The book would be closed. But because so much is hidden, the story continues. I often think of the invisible in personal terms too. The memories we carry, the dreams we don't speak, the parts of ourselves others cannot see. Aren't they like hidden planets, shaping our lives from behind the curtain? You cannot see them, but you feel their pull, the way they bend your choices, your paths. We are solar systems unto ourselves, with visible and invisible parts. And doesn't that make the search for Planet 9 feel more intimate? It's not only about astronomy. It's about the human condition, learning to notice what cannot be seen directly. Now let's return to the imagery of dark matter. Astronomers map it not by sight, but by inference, by the way light bends around galaxies, by the way clusters move. They create maps of shadows, outlines of what cannot be seen. In a way, it is like tracing a ghost shape in fog. Doesn't that sound poetic? The universe as a canvas of invisible brushstrokes. Planet 9, too, is mapped in absence. We don't see the planet. We see its possible fingerprints, the alignments of icy worlds, the whispers in orbital data. It is a ghost drawn in negative space. And perhaps that is enough for now. But wouldn't it be something to bring it into the light? To pierce invisibility with vision? To transform the unseen into the seen? It would not erase the mystery because the cosmos always has more shadows waiting, but it would shift the balance. One more hidden thing revealed. One more locked room opened. Do you think invisibility itself has beauty? I do. Because it reminds us that not everything must be known right away. Some truths are patient. Some worlds prefer to wait. And in the waiting, we are stretched. We learn curiosity. We learn humility. We learn how to dwell in questions without rushing to answers. Perhaps Planet 9 is teaching us that lesson right now. So the next time you look at the stars, remember, what you see is only the surface. Behind the light, behind the galaxies, behind the familiar planets, lies an ocean of invisibility. Dark matter, dark energy, maybe even dark planets. And yet all of it shapes us. All of it is part of the same story. And in that story, we are both small and significant. Small because we see so little. Significant because we dare to imagine the rest. So let the thought of invisibility settle into you, not as emptiness but as fullness, not as absence but as invitation. The cosmos is veiled, yes, but veils are meant to be lifted, slowly, gently, by those who are patient enough to keep looking. Planet 9 may be waiting. Dark matter may remain elusive. Dark energy may puzzle us for centuries. But isn't that what makes the universe alive? That it always has another secret, another hidden room, another planet circling unseen? Perhaps invisibility is the universe's way of keeping us curious, of whispering again and again, look closer, wonder more, never stop asking. Have you ever tried to picture what the future might look like when it comes to discovery? Not just tomorrow or next year, but centuries ahead, when new eyes and new tools might finally reveal the mysteries that hide from us now. Could it be that Planet 9, elusive and ghost-like in our time, will one day be as familiar as Mars or Venus? The thought itself feels like stepping into a dream. We live in an age of beginnings. Telescopes sharper than any before, spacecraft that cross into interstellar space, computers mapping the heavens with precision. But what will come next? How will the story of discovery unfold, long after we are gone? Imagine a night far in the future. A telescope, perhaps orbiting the outer edges of the solar system, free from Earth's haze, records a faint light. At first it seems like nothing, just another star among millions. But then, over weeks, the point of light shifts. Slowly, steadily. Not a star at all. Planet. A real, solid world moving at the edge of the sun's grasp. Can you imagine the silence in that moment? The breath held by those watching? The quiet awe of seeing a mystery dissolve into certainty? And yet, isn't it curious how quickly the extraordinary can become ordinary? Think of Neptune. When it was first discovered, it was a triumph of mathematics, a new planet conjured by numbers. And now it is one of many catalogued, photographed, charted. Could the same happen with Planet 9? That after centuries of wonder, it will one day be just another entry in a database, another object in the sky we think we know? But perhaps discovery never truly ends. Each answer opens more questions. If we find Planet 9, we will ask, what is its atmosphere made of? Does it hold moons? Did it form here or was it captured? Each discovery becomes a seed, blossoming into a forest of new mysteries. Doesn't that make you feel both satisfied and restless at once? Now let's go further. What if, in the distant future, humanity not only sees Planet 9 but travels there? Could we build ships that cross such distances in decades instead of centuries? Could explorers walk on its frozen plains, drill into its crust, sail through its hidden oceans if they exist? Picture it. A small group of travelers, stepping onto a world that has been circling unseen for billions of years. Their boots crunch against ice that has never felt warmth. Above them, the sun is a pale spark, no brighter than a star. Around them, silence deeper than any they have known. And within that silence, the realization that they are the first beings to stand there, the first to bring awareness to a world that has known only solitude. Would they feel triumphant or humbled? And what would humanity do with such a world? Would we preserve it as a sanctuary of silence, untouched except for study? Or would we dream of building there, colonizing, turning it into a frontier? Isn't it unsettling how quickly human imagination moves from wonder to ownership? Perhaps that is a danger, but also a truth of who we are. Yet maybe Planet 9's very distance will protect it. Too far to exploit, too harsh to tame, it may remain a place of pure discovery, a reminder that not everything must be used. Some things can simply exist, mysterious and immense, teaching us without being claimed. And what of the perspective it will give? To discover another Earth-sized planet in our own system would be to remind ourselves that Earth is not singular. We are not the only stone circling the sun large enough to matter. Doesn't that humble our sense of centrality? Doesn't it shift our story from the only to one among? But even more, what if its discovery opens doors beyond? If there is one hidden world in our system, why not others around other stars? Why not dozens, hundreds, perhaps billions of unseen planets waiting in the galaxy? Planet 9 could be the first note in a symphony of discovery. And think of the children of the future, reading their textbooks, seeing diagrams of the solar system with 9, 10, maybe more planets. They will take for granted what to us is still a question. Just as we take for granted that Earth circles the sun, though once that was radical. Doesn't it feel strange to know that our uncertainties now will be their certainties later? It makes me wonder, what mysteries will they still have? What will remain invisible even then? Because surely there will always be more. The universe seems to unfold endlessly, like a book without final chapters. And perhaps this is the real beauty of discovery. It is not about final answers, but about an eternal unfolding. We do not climb to the top of the mountain and stop. We see new ranges beyond and we keep walking. So what role does Planet 9 play in that unfolding? Perhaps it is a bridge. A reminder that even here, close to home, mystery remains. A reminder that discovery is not done. That the cosmos is alive with secrets, waiting. And perhaps, too, it will be a symbol for future generations. A story they will tell of how we once whispered of a hidden planet, doubted and debated, until finally patient searching revealed it. Isn't that how myths turn into history? Isn't that how imagination becomes reality? I sometimes think about how discovery reshapes us not only scientifically but emotionally. To know that another Earth-sized planet shares our sun, wouldn't that change how we feel about our own world? Perhaps it would make Earth feel less lonely. Perhaps it would make us feel smaller. Or perhaps it would make us feel connected, part of a larger family of worlds. And if, by chance, life exists there, even in the smallest form, wouldn't that change everything? To know that life is not unique to Earth, that it can endure in shadow, in distance, in conditions so alien. The future may hold that revelation. And if it does, how will humanity respond? With fear? With reverence? With a redoubling of curiosity? Let's imagine one more scene. Centuries from now, a spacecraft orbits Planet 9. Cameras send back images of its surface. Mountains of ice, plains of frost, maybe clouds drifting slowly in a thin sky. Instruments measure its gravity, its chemistry, its magnetic field. And deep inside, perhaps they detect a hidden ocean. An ocean that has waited, silent, for billions of years. Wouldn't that feel like meeting a long-lost relative? A sibling separated in the chaos of the solar system's birth, now finally recognized. And even if the ocean is empty, even if the planet is barren, still it tells a story. The story of formation, of exile, of endurance. And in telling that story, it enlarges ours. So the future of discovery is not only about technology or data. It is about story. Each new planet, each new revelation, becomes part of the human story. A reminder that we are small, curious creatures in a vast, mysterious home. And Planet 9, whether found tomorrow or centuries hence, will join that story. It will shift the way we see the solar system, the way we see Earth, the way we see ourselves. Until then, it waits, quiet, circling, unseen, a promise of discovery not yet fulfilled. And perhaps that is enough for now, to know that the future holds such promises. To know that the cosmos still keeps secrets, and that one day, in some future night, another world will step out of shadow into light. What is it exactly that makes us search? Why are humans compelled to look for hidden planets, to peer into the dark, to imagine what lies beyond the horizon? Is it survival, curiosity, or something deeper woven into the fabric of our being? From the earliest times we have searched. Hunters followed animal tracks across forests. Sailors charted unknown seas by the stars. Philosophers traced patterns in the heavens, asking why we are here. The search has always been with us. And now it stretches farther, outward into the cosmos, toward planets we may never touch. Isn't that extraordinary? That the same impulse that once led a wanderer to cross a river now leads an astronomer to look for a world a billion miles away. Perhaps the search itself is what defines us. Other creatures live, endure, adapt, but humans yearn. We reach for what we cannot see. Doesn't Planet 9 embody that yearning? A world not yet proven, but still pulling at our imagination like gravity. And here's the question. Do we search because we believe we will find, or because we cannot help ourselves? Think of the astronomers who spend careers studying whispers of orbits, knowing they may never see the hidden planet confirmed. Yet they search anyway. Isn't that a kind of devotion? Almost like faith, but in possibility rather than certainty. It makes me wonder, what would humanity be without this impulse? Without curiosity, would we have crossed oceans, discovered fire, built telescopes, or written symphonies? Or would we have remained small, content with what we see? Maybe curiosity is not just a trait but a survival instinct. Not for the body but for the soul. And searching for hidden worlds is not only about astronomy. It is about us. Each of us carries our own Planet 9. Something hidden, something we suspect but cannot see. A dream, a longing, a memory, a truth we haven't uncovered yet. Don't you feel it sometimes? That tug of something unseen shaping your path? Think about how many choices in life are made not by what is visible but by what is felt. Love is invisible, yet it changes everything. Hope is invisible, yet it pulls us forward. Grief, too, though unseen, reshapes us. In this way, aren't our lives as much shaped by hidden forces as the solar system is shaped by unseen planets? And just as astronomers use mathematics to trace a hidden planet's presence, perhaps we use reflection, art, and story to trace the hidden parts of ourselves. Doesn't that make the search for Planet 9 a kind of metaphor for the search for meaning? Consider how each discovery in history has reshaped humanity's sense of itself. The Earth was once believed to be the center. Then the Sun took that place. Then the galaxy, then the universe itself revealed its enormity. Each step has humbled us, yet also expanded us. Each hidden truth uncovered has been both a wound to pride and a gift to imagination. Would the discovery of Planet 9 do the same? Perhaps not as drastically, but still, it would remind us that even here, in what we thought was familiar, the unknown still waits. That we are not finished explorers. That the story continues. And what about the myths we carry? Haven't humans always placed meaning in hidden places? Think of treasure buried underground, wisdom hidden in caves, paradise placed beyond the seas. The unseen has always been a canvas for our hopes. Planet 9 is part of that tradition. It may be a scientific question, but it also belongs to the lineage of human longing. Do you think curiosity has a cost? After all, the same impulse that drives us to explore has also driven us into danger, conflict, even destruction. We open doors without knowing what waits inside. But would you prefer a life without those risks? Without the fire of questioning? Perhaps curiosity is both gift and burden, but one we cannot lay down. And so we keep asking, what else is out there? What does it mean? How far can we go? Even if Planet 9 proves to be an illusion, the act of searching for it has already shaped us. It has given us new ways of thinking, new patience, new metaphors for our own hidden lives. Imagine, for a moment, a world where curiosity ended, where every mystery was explained, every planet mapped, every question closed. Would that be peace, or would it be despair? Perhaps what we need most is not answers but questions. Questions that keep us awake, keep us reaching, keep us alive. Planet 9 may be one of those questions. A question written into the night sky, waiting for us to lean closer. And even if the answer is no, the asking still matters. So let me turn the question toward you. What hidden worlds are you still searching for in yourself? What truths lie beyond the horizon of your awareness? Tugging gently, waiting to be noticed. Don't you feel them sometimes like faint gravity pulling at your orbit? Perhaps the story of Planet 9 is a story of inner life as much as outer space. The unseen is not just in the sky, it is in us. The search is not only astronomical, it is personal. And maybe that is why the thought of hidden planets feels so moving. Because it reflects the hiddenness we all live with. The mysteries of the heart, the questions of meaning, the long orbit of time we cannot yet see the end of. In the end, Planet 9 is not just a planet. It is a mirror, a reminder that the universe is vast, and so are we, that there are always worlds unseen, both out there and within. So as you drift into quiet tonight, Let yourself hold both searches at once. Picture the astronomers scanning the dark, and picture yourself doing the same in your own way. Searching for the unseen, listening for whispers, waiting for the slow movement of hidden worlds. Because isn't that what it means to be human? Not to know everything, but to keep looking. What does it mean to reach the edge? Is there even such a thing in the universe? Or does every horizon simply open into another? When we imagine a boundary, are we drawing it for the cosmos or for ourselves? The idea of Planet 9 stirs this question quietly. A hidden neighbor, so close yet unseen, reminds us that even the familiar is not finished. Could it be that the greatest mysteries do not lie in distant galaxies, but right here in the spaces we thought we already knew? And if the solar system itself holds secrets, what does that say about the wider universe? Isn't it like finding a forgotten room in your own home? A door you never noticed before? Wouldn't that make you wonder how many other doors are waiting, tucked just out of sight? Perhaps the real mystery is not whether Planet 9 exists, but why we long so deeply for it to exist. Why do we ache for another Earth, another hidden companion circling in the dark? Do we hope for kinship, for the feeling that we are not alone even in our own backyard? Or do we crave discovery for its own sake, the joy of peeling back one more layer of the infinite onion? The search feels almost like a prayer. Scientists measure, calculate, and model, but beneath it all, isn't there a softer yearning? A hope that the universe has saved one more wonder for us, one more reminder that it is alive with mystery. And yet, what if it isn't there? What if no planet waits in the dark? Would that diminish the beauty of the search, or would it prove that imagination itself is the gift? Perhaps Planet 9, whether real or not, serves its purpose already, by asking us to look deeper, to stretch our minds beyond what is visible. It's curious, isn't it, how the unseen often matters more than the seen? Gravity itself isn't visible, yet it shapes the stars and the seas. Love, too, cannot be measured, yet it pulls lives into orbit. The most powerful forces are the ones you cannot hold. Doesn't Planet 9 belong to that same family of mysteries, hidden, but profoundly felt? And when we stand under the night sky, looking up, do we really search for planets, or for ourselves reflected in them? We see stories in constellations, meaning in movements of light. Haven't we always projected our longing into the stars? To wonder if another Earth is out there is also to wonder who we are, and what we might yet become. Think of how the ancients looked upward. To them, the sky was alive with gods, heroes, omens. Their telescopes were myths. Today, our tools are sharper, glass, mirrors, satellites, but the questions remain soft and human. What is out there? What does it mean for us? Could we belong somewhere beyond this one world? And so the search for Planet 9 is not only an astronomical quest. It is a continuation of our oldest story. The story of reaching, yearning, wandering into the dark. Isn't it remarkable that the same fire that drew a sailor across an uncharted sea now draws a telescope toward invisible worlds? But there is another question: what if we do find it? Imagine the moment. A faint dot appears on a screen, slow-moving against the background of stars. Confirmation. A new world revealed. What would we feel first? Relief, joy, or awe? Would we rush to study it, or would we pause, silent, before the enormity of the new? And what would that discovery mean for us, here on Earth? Would it be just another fact in the textbooks, or would it remind us of something deeper, something we often forget? That the universe is alive, unfinished, waiting. That we are not done learning, not done growing, not done being surprised. I sometimes wonder if the universe hides things on purpose, like a patient teacher waiting for us to be ready. Not withholding, but inviting, as if saying, there is more. Look again. Doesn't that feel true not just in science but in life? How often do we miss what is right beside us, only to notice it years later and see it glowing with meaning? And so Planet 9 becomes more than a planet. It becomes a symbol of all that is hidden, all that waits just beyond the edge of sight. It reminds us that mystery is not a flaw in our knowledge but a gift to keep us searching. Ask yourself, what would life be without questions? Without mysteries pulling us forward? Wouldn't certainty grow heavy, dull, Like air too still to breathe? Maybe the unknown is what gives the world its freshness, like wind in the sails. The search for another Earth, hidden in our own solar system, tells us that we live in a universe of layers. Each time we think we have reached the edge, another horizon appears. Isn't that a kind of kindness, a way of keeping us from ever running out of wonder? And perhaps that is the lesson to take with us, that the search itself is enough, that mystery is not an obstacle but a companion, that we can live whole lives with unanswered questions and still be nourished by them. So what does it mean, finally, to ask if another Earth could be hiding here? It means we are alive to possibility. It means we have not closed our eyes. It means we are still reaching, still listening for whispers in the dark. And as you picture that hidden planet tonight, drifting silently on its long orbit, perhaps you also feel your own hidden worlds stirring within you. Dreams not yet spoken, truths not yet named, horizons not yet crossed. Isn't it comforting to know that you, too, are still unfolding? That you are not finished? The universe is not finished either. Galaxies are still colliding. Stars are still being born. Planets are still circling unseen. The story is still being written, and we are part of it. Tiny, yes, but not insignificant. Like explorers on a great ocean, still scanning the horizon, still asking the oldest question. What lies beyond? So let the thought of Planet 9 lull you, not into certainty, but into wonder. Let it remind you that even in the spaces you think you know best, surprises wait. That life itself is stitched with the unseen. And if you close your eyes now, maybe you can imagine it. A lonely, beautiful planet, far away, tracing its long, slow path through the dark. Unseen but not unreal. Waiting, like all mysteries, for the moment we are ready to see. Because isn't that the truth? That the universe will always hold more than we know. That another Earth may be hiding near us or far away or within us. That the search will never end. And that this is not a loss, but a gift. So as the night settles around you, let the questions rest gently. Let them rock you like waves. Not every mystery needs an answer tonight. Sometimes it is enough to know they are there, waiting, shimmering at the edge of sight. And perhaps that is the final gift of Planet 9. Not its discovery, but its reminder. That mystery is endless, and so is wonder. And as long as we are searching, we are alive.